Hello, everyone. My name is Barry Schwartz. I'm a psychologist. I taught at Swarthmore College in Pennsylvania for 45 years, then moved out here to the Bay Area and taught at the high school at Berkeley for 5 years. And I've taught a couple of courses at Ollie in the last few years. This winter, I'm going to be teaching a course called The Paradox of Choice. What it's about is a kind of belief that we all deeply hold that the more freedom people have, the greater well-being they have. In order to have more freedom, we need to give people more choice, and so the more choice people have, the greater well-being they'll have. I wrote a book 20 years ago called The Paradox of Choice, which is focused on showing that these beliefs that we have are not true empirically. Choice is certainly good, but there can be too much of a good thing. And in the book, I showed that in many, many areas of life, there is too much of a good thing, at least in wealthy societies like ours. Choice is good, but when there's too much, it leads to paralysis, unfreedom. It leads to worse decisions, and it leads to dissatisfaction with even good decisions. As I say, the book was published 20 years ago in 2005, and unfortunately, since I published the book, things have only gotten worse, thanks to the explosion into our lives of the digital world. And so no matter where we look, we find ourselves with extraordinary numbers of options. Whether it's buying groceries, buying clothing, seeking news and information. What news and information do we seek and where do we seek it? Entertainment. What movies and TV shows do we seek and where do we seek them? Education. Where do we go to school? What do we study? Work. What kind of job and where? Close relationships. What kind of intimacy are we seeking? And how do we seek it and where do we seek it? Family. What kind of family do we imagine for ourselves? Children, no children, marriage, no marriage. And finally, most fundamentally, who we are as human beings is something that we increasingly feel is a matter of choice rather than something that we inherit from our ancestors. So that's the reality. And the question is that we'll explore is, what are some of the consequences? And there are certainly good consequences of having all this freedom of choice. But there are also bad consequences. It leads to doubt. It leads to paralysis. It leads to blaming yourself when decisions don't work out. Leads to disappointment with decisions, even when they're good ones. It leads to regret. And in more serious cases, it can lead to depression, clinical depression, and anxiety. What should I choose? Who should I be? Who should I compare myself to? What future should I create for myself when essentially anything is possible? And when I end up not quite achieving my goals, who do I blame? So that's what we're going to be talking about in this course. I'm presently revising the book because, as I said, as bad as things were in 2005, they're worse now. And the kinds of examples that are most responsible, I think, for unhappiness come mostly from the digital world, not from the brick and mortar world. So I hope you'll join me in the course and share both the benefits and the miseries that you encounter when you're faced with an overwhelming amount of choice. Thanks.